Hey everyone, Mr. Maynard here, and I just wanted to provide you guys with a small, what I'm calling a bite-sized lecture on week 2 and chapter 2 in our textbook. Now these lectures are small and they're simply meant to be supplemental to your reading, which means that you still need to do your reading in order to pass your quiz, which will later on help you pass your midterm and your final. So again, this is just a small lecture to kind of give you an overview of the chapter, and you still need to do your readings. This week we're going to be looking at what is a human service professional? Or better put, who is a human service professional? Nope. There we go. We're going to start by looking at the motivations, the values, and the characteristics of helpers. Next, we're going to look at the different types of helpers, and we have generalists, specialists, and non-professional helpers. We're going to talk about what each of those categories mean. And then we're going to look at, briefly, the list of the different human service roles that one can pursue in human services. So, we first have to ask ourselves, why do we want to become helpers? What interests you about the helping profession? You know, thinking about your discussion boards, I've read several different reasons that you guys have given us, well, you all have given us on why you have chose the helping profession. And several of you fit in these 4 categories you can see on the screen. However, it's important to know that there are several different reasons why a person may choose to get involved in the helping profession. Some may want to help others. Some may want to engage in self-exploration and learn more about themselves. Others may want to exert control in the sense that they may want to work in administrative or a managerial role to where they want to help an organization succeed by helping to control it. And some people may want to be positive role models. And I see this a lot, and it's a lot of times in this situation, it's when someone was inspired by a positive role model in their own life. I know several of you have shared that you encountered therapists and social workers and counselors and different people in human services role inspired you to become a human service professional. And I know several social workers and counselors and therapists who got into the field for the exact same reason. Regardless of why you got into the field, it's important for us to take time to understand why we want to be helpers and stay helpers. Because all the reasons provided here, helping others, self-exploration, exerting control, positive role models, have positive and negatives associated with them. Think about it. Say our goal is to help others. That's great, right? Well, it can be, yes. But if we distill that down a little bit more and we ask ourselves, why do we want to help others? What do you think the answer is? Could it possibly be that we want to help others because when we help others, it makes us feel better about ourselves? And if so, that's fine. However, that's something we need to acknowledge and remember when we're helping people. That way, our primary concern stays on the client instead of us. Yes, helping this client makes me feel better, but that should not be the only reason I'm helping this client. I should be helping this client because the client is my primary concern. So again, it's just a great idea to have that conversation with yourself. Ask yourselves, why do I want to be a helper? Okay, there's several different values that are normally associated with the helping profession. And values are important because every single individual has values. And values are what allows us to make decisions. Think about it. Every single decision you make in this life is based on a judgment call. And when we make that judgment call, we're evaluating whether or not we want to do something. And when we evaluate that, we can distill all that down to say the judgment call we're going to make is based on our values. Now, our book defines values as a statement of beliefs about what guides behavior and provides direction to people's lives. Excuse me. The following values are some of the most commonly held in human services. The first is acceptance. And this is the ability of the helper to be receptive to another person regardless of dress or behavior. And this is super important when it comes to human services. In this field, you're going to encounter people of all different shapes, sizes, cultures, dress, completely different people all the time. So it's very important that we have this value of acceptance where we accept people as they come to us. We don't have these negative thoughts or treat them differently just because of who they are or how they look. Another important value when it comes to helping is tolerance. And tolerance is the ability to be patient and fair. Tolerance is the helper's ability to be patient and fair with each client. And this is very important. This means that, again, it kind of goes with that acceptance that we're going to be fair to all of our clients, no matter who they are, and that we're going to be patient with them. We're not going to try to rush them. We're not going to say, I don't like working with this client, or I don't like working with this particular population, so I'm going to try to get him out the door as fast as possible. No, we're going to be tolerant. That means we're going to be fair and patient with everyone. Another important value is individuality. And individuality is exactly what it sounds like. It's the qualities or characteristics that make each person unique and distinctive from everyone else. And it's really important that helpers have this value, because individuality is what allows us to see a person not just as a number or not just as someone belonging to a particular group. It's what allows us to see people as an individual. And it's what allows us to avoid stereotypes. Self-determination is also a very important value, and this one occurs, this value kind of runs into problems occasionally, because as helpers, what do we want to do? We want to help people. We want to help them live the best life possible. And sometimes, in trying to do so, we violate this value of self-determination. Sometimes we want to make the choices for our client. We think that we know better, or, that we will do better for them than they would do for themselves. However, in the helping profession, we believe in something called self-determination, also called autonomy, which means we believe the client can decide for themselves a course of action or resolution to a problem. We believe in self-determination, that the client can make these choices for themselves. Finally, confidentiality is exactly what it sounds like, and that's the helper's assurance to the clients that their cases will not be discussed with others. Now, later on in this course and in my other human services courses, you'll learn there are exceptions, very few exceptions to confidentiality, and we'll talk about that later, but in general, confidentiality in this scenario is standing for our assurance to our clients that we're going to keep their information private and confidential. There's also characteristics that are common with helpers. There is self-awareness, which is the lifelong process of learning about oneself by continually examining one's own beliefs, attitudes, values, and behavior. And this is very important in the helping professions. You're going to run into new things every day. You're going to run into new people every day. You're going to run into new behaviors every day. And with that being said, self-awareness is taking that time to go, why do I think this way? Or why do I feel this way? Or why do I believe this way? And being able to have that conversation with yourself and ask yourself these questions are very important in being able to work with others. Another important characteristic of a helper is the ability to communicate. And this is when we learn how to listen to a client. We learn how to understand a client. We learn about active listening. We learn about the use of silence. Mainly, the ability to communicate is very important because that's how we'll be doing most of our work with clients, through communication. Empathy is also a very important characteristic of clients, and it's acceptance of the client that allows the helper to see the situation and understand feelings from the client's perspective. This is very important. Empathy often gets confused with sympathy. We don't want to have sympathy for a client. We don't want to just feel sorry for them. With empathy, we learn to understand our client's situation through their point of view. It's understanding our client at a very deep level, not simply feeling sorry for them, which is sympathy, but empathy is understanding our client's perspective from their perspective. Finally, another characteristic is the responsibility to improve the well-being of others, to act in the best interest of the clients, and to do so to the best of your ability. And this is exactly what it sounds like. This means we're going to always act in the best interest of our clients. And we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to keep our client our number one priority. And finally, flexibility is a very important trait of helpers because, let's face it, you're going to be running into a lot of different situations, a lot of different behaviors, a lot of different people, problems, interventions. You have to be flexible in this field. You have to be able to say, okay, this isn't working, let's try something else. or maybe we should approach it like this instead of like this. So flexibility, again, very important characteristic. The book defines it as a multifaceted trait that allows human service professionals to shift their perspective of helping clients, problems, behaviors, and interventions. Next, our book has a category of helpers. They put human service workers in 3 different categories, which is the specialist, the human service professional, and the non-professional. The human service professional, this is normally individuals who have a undergraduate degree, they associates, bachelors, they have some training, and they're generally generalists, which means they're going to work in a variety of different settings in a variety of different ways. Some of the jobs include caseworker, probation officer, social services liaison. I also think a lot of people who work in rehabilitation, before they get credentialing in other fields, they would be considered a human service professional. We also have another category called specialist. Specialist is an advanced training. Specialist is an advanced type of helping profession. Specialists are those individuals who have had to go to school a little bit longer and get other credentialing. These can include like a physician. He or she has to go to med school. A psychiatrist. All psychiatrists also go to med school, and then they have to receive additional training. Psychologists always have to have a doctorate degree, which is several years in school. Social workers, there's different tiers of the education you have to receive to get licensure. I can speak a little bit about that one as a social worker. When you get your bachelor's degree, you can take a test to become a licensed social worker. But if you want to go to the next level, you can get a master's degree in MSW and then take the test to become a CSW, which is a certified social worker, which is what I am. And then if you want to do additional training, you can become a licensed clinical social worker. And then counselors also have to have board exams and a master's degree. So specialists are referred to as specialists in human services because of the advanced training and education. Finally, we have non-professional helpers. And non-professional helpers I find very interesting because I think if you think about it, we've all encountered non-professional helpers in our lives without probably knowing it. And our book, again, breaks these down into different groups. Non-professional helpers in general are accepted in society due to financial constraints or uneven distribution of professional workers. So we honestly don't have enough licensed credentialed individuals, so occasionally non-professional helpers are utilized. And these are people who are, the first category is community caretaker. These are your policemen. I would say in rural areas, I would include firefighters in this as well, and your clergy, which is your priests, your imams, your preachers, all the people who work in the chaplains who work in the spiritual side. Next, we have a category called natural helpers, and these are people who may not be specifically trained for helping, but their jobs require them, or their jobs make them inclined to be helpers. And these are people like hairdressers and bartenders. A lot of times it's individuals people tell their problems to. And finally, we have self-help groups. And these are individuals who may not have additional training, but they're working in a group. And these are groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, Narcotics Anonymous, NA. These are wonderful groups that have been able to make a lot of changes. And finally, the book lists a lot of different roles. I'm going to not name all these because there's several, and you can read through the chapter to learn more about these roles. But one thing I do want to point out is the generalist. The generalist, when we refer to a generalist, we're referring to someone with a wide range of skills, strategies, and they can work in many different environments. There's someone who is a jack of all trades. So we're able to use, as a generalist, we're able to use you in this setting, but then you can transfer your skills over here as well. And they fit into 3 different, our book puts them into 3 different categories, which is providing direct service, performing administrative work, and working within the community. Alright, so this is just a very short overview of this chapter. I just wanted to share a few of my notes with you. And as always, do your reading. And if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Thank you.